I think it is time for NXT to take over.
Suplex City, bitch.
What's your favorite match?
My favorite match was with Melina and Alicia Fox.
Who?
I told my father I'm gonna set up my own lucha league in America, and I'm gonna make it the best league in the world.
I'm gonna leave him in a pile of blood and urine and vomit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast, the wrestling podcast review Monday Night Raw. I give you guys all the lovely wrestling news of the week. That voice that so beautifully elaborated the format of this show to you on a weekly basis. I'm sure I've said a lot of these stuff are the same, but it's only so ways you can describe myself opening up a show. This person chatting mindlessly is Turbo Tony. That is myself here on this show. Hope all of our almost 400 subscribers are having a great time. And there with me this week is a man who, through trials and tribulations, will always be here by my side to record this podcast as we near 100 episodes. And he is a man who dislikes the dislikes on the dislike forum for disliking the dislike button on Facebook. It's Matt Marsander.
Much dislike.
Yeah, how much do you dislike it?
A whole heap. I've already like crazy dislike. I don't know.
Oh, you just can't hack it. All the dislikes, man.
There's such crazy dislike.
How are you doing this week, Matt?
Okay, I'm missing so much of Raw. This is the worst part. I'm completely unprepared for this. Damn rugby.
Oh yes, and Japan doing the upset of the century against South Africa, which was quite fun.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna walk through this group.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
Yeah, that was quite fun. Apart from all the other sports, which didn't go my way today.
Yeah.
But I won't go too much into that because it will make me upset, Matt. You know that.
Okay.
That. Let's talk about that dislike thing, actually, dislikes on Facebook. Are you with me in thinking it's an absolutely horrific idea?
Well, I'm adding a dislike button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think basically it opens up the floodlights for cyberbullying to get even worse. That's my...
I can imagine loads... they mean it with all the best intentions of just sort of when someone puts up the stereotypical... Oh, I'm having a really bad day. Sort of fishing for, opinions. It's sort of and suddenly oh, it's really bad, and sort of dislike it. But it's just going to be shut the fuck up, dislike.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people. Some people will put up something really heartfelt, and it could get loads of dislikes. I don't like the way it's going. I'll be interested to see what other people think in regards to that. I mean, we're not too bothered. We've got dislikes on our videos before. It doesn't really bother us as much. Because it's an opinion show. People are bound not to like our opinions some of the time. Ask all the Kofi Kingston fans. Yeah, they don't like me that much, but still. Matt, if they want to send us any tweets about it, well, obviously they wouldn't be disliking the show if they would send us a tweet. But if they want to like the show, what is the Twitter handle to tweet you at?
You mean at Talk Wrestle Pod?
That's it. And I know that you've had someone defect to your side. Okay, Matt. I know you have your followers. That's the way it is. Matt, by the way, how excited are you for the Let's Talk Wrestling t-shirts?
Of course I'm excited.
Yes.
I want it.
We are genuinely... This is no bullshitting, people. We cannot wait to put the orders in on this t-shirt. Matt has seen the design. The design is ready. And it looks damn sexy. And who knows, Matt, maybe, just maybe next week on the episode, I may even put a link to a picture of the first Let's Talk Wrestling t-shirt. How about that? That'd be something. Maybe not the finished product, but the design that we're going for.
Yeah.
But Matt, there's a way that our fans can get this exclusive t-shirt. The only way that they can get it at the moment is by entering our contest for the Let's Talk Wrestling 100th episode. And all it is, it's simple. It's simple, Matt. You know it's simple. All it is, you send in 30 seconds or less of an introduction to our show. The same way that I just did at the start of the show, but with a bit more pizzazz. You can make impressions. You can get other people in on it. But it has to be amazing, it has to make us laugh, it has to be humorous. And if you want to, it can be the new intro for the show going forward. And if you don't want to, that's fine, but you'll still get yourself the Let's Talk Wrestling t-shirt for free. And 2 runners-up will get some other smaller merchandise, but just as exclusive. Yeah. So it's the first ever merchandise we're doing for the podcast. We're super excited for it to be going. And you've got about just around a month and a half to send in your stuff in. And then we'll make our decision just before Let's Talk Wrestling 100. And we'll announce it on that show, the big 100th episode. So we're excited for it. We're going to be taking our Let's Talk Wrestling shirts to NXT London. So that will be awesome. We'll be rocking and representing our own brand. I sound like the Nickies when I say that, on Total Divas when they're like, the Bella brand. I'm like, okay. What do we have on the show this week, Matt? I'm going to let you do the rundown.
Oh, you mean we'll cover over all the wrestling news of the week? Sorry, I had to get my throat then. Caught off guard. Wrestling news of the week. All the fan feedback. Raw. And obviously leading into Night of Champions. I like The Miz, and I won't call it Hell in a Cell. Dick.
We're gonna roast him later on. Don't you worry. Oh yeah.
And obviously we got predictions.
And NXT report card.
We have that.
I have the delight of having all my illustrious notes, so I forgive you on.
I don't even know who we're reviewing. So
we are reviewing. I'm not going to tell you yet. Oh, you've got to watch the show to figure out. Oh, yeah, that's it. We're hooking people in now. That's it. Let us not procrastinate any further, Matt. Our fans have come here to, as the name of the show is, to hear us talk about professional wrestling. And, guys, do we have some wrestling talk to be chatting about this week in regards to various companies, most of which revolve around the most dying brand of wrestling shows at the moment, and of course we're referring to TNA. And we haven't had too much to speak about in general about TNA. To be honest, there is just a gradual progression now until Destination America doesn't really want them around. They get thrown off, they die, we can put all this to an end sort of thing. The reason I bring this up is because Dixie Carter has 2 news stories this week, and I felt it was quite pivotal that I bring them up and we can talk about them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that me and Matt don't watch TNA anymore. We tried reviewing it on the show, didn't work. I think that's probably the most generous way I can say the reason why we didn't review that show. Yeah. So, first one, Dixie Carter apparently has bought out Jeff Jarrett's final small little stake in Impact Wrestling. So that means that essentially what she did is bought it out in exposure for Jarrett, getting some exposure for Global Force Wrestling, which is of course his new brand. And Jarrett can now use certain TNA talent at live shows of his own, right? Yeah. So this means that Dixie Carter has full 100% ownership of the company, and it's completely hers. She's bought the ship. It belongs to her. Now it's time to plug all the holes you put in it before you bought it out. That's the problem there. I don't know about you, Matt, but as soon as I heard about this, who got the better deal out of this.
Oh, yeah. It's like, you got bought out of it. Oh, now you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, I'd love to be Jarrett right now. It's like, you want to buy me? Oh, no. You mean I don't? Oh, shame.
I'm sure that's exactly the way Jeff Jarrett was like, oh, okay. Oh, I've got nothing to do with TNA anymore. Oh, let me cry a little bit here. No.
Oh, it's so sad.
He was probably jumping around going, the hills are alive with the sound of music.
Leaping and bounding everywhere.
That's it. Just jumping around with his wife.
An extra spring in his step.
Extra spring in his step. Yeah, because, at the end of the day, he gets some national television exposure for his own venture. He gets the use of some talent, which you know he's going to try and pick up after TNA goes down the shitter. We just know that, right? There are very few that are still contracted to the company, right? And there's very few, if any. Yeah, and yeah, it's like Dixie's buying more of a dying brand. Congratulations.
The fact that she now owns
all of it,
all of her own dying company. So if anything, she can go to the grave with it now.
She essentially paid someone to jump off the sinking ship so she could claim it for herself.
Yeah.
So you know, fair enough. If she wants to, man, with some of the stuff I've said about Dixie Carter crying over the remains of her company, and me laughing with the people that she fired. Now, let me, I'm not going to get that angry.
Delicious. It's delicious.
It's that delicious rage that we had that week. That isn't the big. Well, it is the biggest story of the two. But the other one was, like I said, this interview that she had, and she's been doing a few rounds, making a few interviews with people, and these are just some bits and bobs that basically over the course of this week that I found that she said to several dirt sheets, news outlets, etc. Right? It's not as if like news outlets are going to be searching her, right, to say things. You know what I mean? It's basically down to herself. But some of the stuff she said here was borderline hilarious. Matt, have you seen any of these statements?
I can't say I have.
I hoped you hadn't.
I don't actively,
Yeah. Well,
seek out TNA news.
Yeah. I mean, I hoped you hadn't, and the reason being is because I wanted to get your first response to hearing some of these statements.
Okay.
Are you ready? I am ready. I've got a lot of notes on this, okay? This is actually like pretty much like half a page. Ready?
Okay.
So, she agrees that Hulk Hogan was overused in TNA.
Okay.
Which is a shame that she couldn't figure that out, why he was still there.
Well, at least she admits it.
I mean, she admits it, yeah. And she says that hopefully there may be an approach made to Hulk Hogan in the future to come back to TNA.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Now, the fact is, Dixie Carter, of course, she would love that. She has a wide-on for Hulk Hogan. I think everyone else knows that, right? She fucking loves Hulk Hogan. Was it? He would be the rocket fuel for that TNA needed to drive them to the top. Yeah, it didn't really work out for you, really, did it? But you know what? It's funny.
I find it quite funny is the fact that she's like, you say how she's got such a wide on for Hogan. Yeah, actually, I think it was around that sort of time where Hogan joined. Guess what? Your ship's starting to sink.
Right. And it's, the Hogan stuff, I'm not going to lie and say it didn't do them some good. I mean, short term, yeah. Long term, no. And it became this sort of thing where Dixie wanted to sign a lot of these aging people, including Hulk Hogan, who couldn't, I mean, Hogan, when he got into TNA, he couldn't wrestle. He can't wrestle now, and he barely could back then, right? And he was having some of these awful matches back then. And, bringing his daughter into the company. I mean, there was just a list of mistakes done there. And, but yeah, I mean, Dixie, we know the way she feels about Hogan, right? She would, even with all the stuff around him at the moment, if she had the money, right, and Hogan wasn't dying to get back into WWE where the real money was, she would be making offers to Hulk Hogan now, right?
Yeah.
Regardless. Even though it would be suicidal to her company, she would do it, right? She'd think it's the best thing to do. So the funny thing with her saying this, the reason I brought up is the stuff like, he was overused the first time. Matt, come on. Can we all just tell Dixie Carter that she can't help herself? If Hulk Hogan re-signed for TNA, he would be used exactly the same as he was the first time he was in TNA.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, she can't help herself, right? So I wanted to bring that up in there. And I will say sorry to Dixie, but I don't think that her company's lasting long enough to even make him an offer when he's the aura around him starts fading a little bit and all his public relations have started to heal from the racist statements that he made. She name dropped CM Punk as a potential future signing. I knew that one would get you.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah. Now, to be honest, when I heard that, I like I said, I started laughing pretty much the same you did. Probably for a lot longer. I should have recorded myself, to be honest. Now, she does obviously say, I think he's done with wrestling. But it's the very way that she would think that, if he does come back, we're in the hunt for CM Punk. No.
If he does come back, he'll go to TNA.
No.
Oh, you're funny.
For a guy who's always said, I know my worth. I know how much I'm worth. And if I'm going somewhere, I want to go somewhere where it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that, Dixie. Believe me, I can tell you right now, you shouldn't even brought up CM Punk in this conversation, because CM Punk is, if he were to come back to wrestling, which I don't think he will, well, maybe 10 years down the line, maybe, but he's not going to TNA.
I think it's safe to say we know which company he'll go back to.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Yeah.
I think there's only one place he would go back to, and it's probably Ring of Honor, right? I don't think, and if he does so, he'll do so for not a lot of money, just because he wants to, because it's fun again,
Yeah.
right? And he won't be on a contract or anything along these lines. I don't think he would go back to WWE until later down the line, where maybe he's soothed something, but even then, it's Triple H coming into power. I just don't see it happening, right? And she says that TNA will continue to exist, which obviously on this show we disagree with, and on a level that far exceeds what we're currently doing.
Oh, okay, so it's...
Go on. Matt?
better than what it's...
Yeah. Go on.
Like, on another level to what we're currently getting, it's like, so back to its former glory?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It sounds promising what she's saying.
It's fallen a long way.
Yeah. It sounds promising what she's saying. I'll say it again. On a level that far exceeds what we're currently doing. Matt, do you think she said that 5 years ago?
Yeah, I'd like to think she would. It was like a board meeting or something.
Yeah. Comes into TNA. Oh, now we're coming in with this new funding, and believe me, we'll be doing something on a level that far exceeds what we're currently doing. Yeah, I wonder how. Yeah, like I said, she probably said the exact same thing. Yeah, back then, and believe me, TNA was in a much healthier position back then than they are now.
Mm.
Now here's the other thing. This is the main thing that people are going on. Okay, there's one piece of advice that I said to Dixie Carter ages ago. I wish it got to her. If it has, I wish she had listened. Right, and Matt knows what it is. Stop talking about WWE. Stop making references to the World Wrestling Entertainment Company. Stop making references to the talent that work for that company. Just don't talk about them, all right? Yeah. Because when you talk about them, it already makes you seem second rate, all right? Now, obviously, Matt, you know what she said here, right? She went on to talk about WWE. Here we go. She says that after talent came into TNA from WWE, after a hot run with TNA, almost every former talent has worked with WWE again. It's a huge compliment for them.
I love the delusion.
It's actually hilarious because it's like, basically, she's essentially admitting we're like Legends developmental for WWE.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting out of it.
And guess what? We're not even getting paid by them. Isn't that hilarious? Isn't that great? Now, there's multiple things obviously wrong with that statement. The fact that she just did just admit that she's second rate. And while I don't expect her to come out and say we're better than WWE, that would be even more ludicrous. Just don't bring them up. Just don't talk about them. You just don't have to. Do what WWE does to you, and don't say a thing.
Don't even reference them.
Yeah. It's
considering like the amount of people. Yeah, okay. There's quite a lot of people who are in WWE now who've done some TNA time. Look at, Xavier Woods.
Yeah,
he's a former TNA talent, but are they going to refer to that? No.
You can look back on both sides, right? There's been people in TNA that have gone to other companies and done great. TNA have had on their books at some point the likes of Tanahashi, right? They've had Jushin Thunder Liger, right?
Yep.
Work for their company. I'm not talking even about Japanese talent. You're saying Xavier Woods. He did nothing in TNA. Nothing. He went to WWE, now he's a tag team champion on every week, right? Not saying that WWE haven't done the same. You can look at EC3. But it's kind of stupid to kind of trade blows like that and say, we've taken these on, they've come with a hot run, we've done well for them, they've gone back to WWE. It's like...
And they've been strong, like, essentially, like, they've been stronger than before. It's like... Do you hear yourself sometimes?
And it's like, the fact is that, what's funny, right? With Bubba Ray Dudley, right, coming back, I don't think it was him who said it. I think it was RVD. Remember when he came back to WWE? When he first came back to WWE, he had a fan come up to him in an airport and said, "What have you done for the last 6 or whatever years?" Yeah. And he was like, "I was in TNA," and they're like, "What is that?"
You've been where?
Yeah, right? It's like, come on, Dixie. Just don't bring him up, because no matter what you say, at very worst, it will make you seem as if you're second rate. So just don't bring him up, right? Listen. While you've got the company there, don't talk about WWE. Unless someone talks to you about them, in which case you can talk whatever. But this was her bringing it up and say, oh, when they've come to us, we've made them look so good they can go back to WWE. Like, even saying that isn't a compliment for you. That's saying that your company isn't good enough for good wrestlers, regardless of whether they're...
Like, surely, yeah, I was going to say, so why did they leave? If you made them so good, why couldn't you keep them?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It really is. I thought that statement has so many levels of stupidity lined in. And like I said, I'm sure she didn't realise, but that's the point. She didn't realise, right? Now, it goes on to say that, and this is the other thing, the other piece of advice that I've said to her, is that she says that she's taken some unfair blows as the company, and, because of them, they've been knocked back, but they will rise up and be better than ever. But she says she's taken some unfair blows, right? This is in terms of business that she was getting at. Here's my other piece of advice to Dixie. Stop thinking the world is out to get you. It's business. Right? Don't think that anyone out there is going to give you any favours. Doesn't even matter if they're WWE. If they're TV companies, they won't give you any favours. If you think it's an unfair blow, they're looking out for their bottom line. And guess what? You ain't drawing in that many viewers. Right? Stop thinking that the world is out to get you, and make your product better. Make everything involved. Work on you. Work on your company. Don't worry that the world is out to get you, because listen, this is business. It's strictly business.
Yeah.
Spike TV.
If I took a look at my books and I was like, this one's actually losing me money.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to cut the ties.
It's like, that's what I mean. You hit it on the nail there, Matt. Like, look, Spike TV didn't unfairly drop you from their network. They looked at the amount of viewers you brought in, the amount of money they had to pump in, and said it's not worth it. It's not unfair. In fact, that's very fair. Right? So...
It's like, sorry, love, that's business.
Yeah. I mean, one of our other statements here is that her main issue is building a brand inside of the US. That's the main issue that TNA has at the moment. That, I think, is disgraceful saying that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. She is actually right. But the fact that it is right is disgraceful, because the amount of wrestling companies that would love the national TV time that TNA has had to not have a brand inside the US... That TNA can't call an unfair blow on that. That's down to them. That's a deficiency in TNA. That's got nothing to do with anyone else. They've been given 2 hours. Look back in the Spike days. They've had years of 2 hours on Spike to build a brand, and they haven't. That's on them. We already knew their marketing team was shit.
They've had 2 hours on essentially what was prime time.
Yeah, right. And, to be honest, it's ridiculous. That statement there is the one that angers me the most. Because, like I said, if you put... Yeah, maybe other companies would have failed. But they would have killed to have the opportunity. Just to say that our main issue is building a brand inside the US. It's...
Well, that's almost essentially... That's admitting defeat.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
I think it's ridiculous, and like the whole unfair or the world's against me, and TNA would be so much better if they didn't have these evil forces trying to take it down. This sort of mentality that Dixie Carter has is part of the reason why they're in the trouble that they're in now, because she thinks it's everyone else's fault. Yeah. It's not. It really isn't. It's not even the wrestlers' fault. It's everyone that doesn't wrestle inside TNA that isn't in regards to their in terms of managing the decisions, the big decisions in TNA, they are the ones that are the problem with that company. And it's been that way for a very, very long time. And I've gone from disliking them to flat out hating them. I don't hate many people, but the minute they started fucking around with firing production workers for just asking when they were going to be paid because they were late getting paid, that turned TNA into a despicable company for me. And I am waiting for them to die so I can laugh. And I know that's really harsh, but it's come to a point now. I mean, Matt, I already discussed this, with the whole TNA rant that I did ages ago. But like once they cross that threshold and they start affecting, honest people's lives, that's what annoys the fuck out of me. It really does. So
that's when the arrogance sort of takes over.
Yeah. And the talk of Dixie Carter wanting her wrestlers and talent and people behind the scenes to take lie detector tests to see who's leaking this information out to the public. And my main thing to them then was, why don't you just stop doing these things? then that information can't get leaked because you're not doing them. There you go.
One thing I love is just sort of like trust works both ways. Great way to show trust in your staff.
Yeah, isn't it? Ah, it's ridiculous. I thought the interview, guys, go out and view it. It's quite hilarious. And like I said, I think the one that you can spend the most time looking over and getting various different reasons why it's wrong to say is the WWE thing. But I think the last one is so indicative. We have trouble building a brand inside the US. How many years have you been on primetime TV? How many years? And it may not be prime time, but they're still on, when they're on Spike, they're...
like, if Ring of Honor said that, like... Fair enough.
Yeah, they don't have regular TV. I mean, now they are on Destination America, but they've only started this year.
Yeah.
I'd give them a couple of years before they can start saying, before I can start calling them out and say, you should be doing better at this point. Yeah. How long have TNA had? So long. Oh, man, it's ridiculous, to be honest. And that's the reason why. I mean, like I said, I think the problem with TNA is Dixie Carter. I think, honestly, she came in, she probably didn't have that much experience running a company, and she's driven it into the ground. That has to be a learning lesson for her, and that's it. That's the bottom line of it.
Time to learn the hard way.
Now you're like Vince Russo, where no one will want to work with you because you're poison, but if you've got someone that's just as idiotic as you, then maybe they'll let you help them, right? Because that's the only reason Vince Russo got into WCW is because Dixie Carter let him, right? Yeah. Let's just be honest, right? And our views on Vince Russo are just as bad, but anyway. So, yeah, TNA, like I said, it's a shame that it's all gone to this. But to be honest, now I don't matter as much because it looks like a lot of their talent are getting bookings elsewhere and probably making more money. So I don't really care as much anymore. If the talent and the backstage and the honest workers behind it, which have already been fired by TNA, have been dealt with, then I don't care what happens to whatever remains there. Matt, you must have seen the pictures of their latest live show, Catastrophe, where they had basically no one there.
Oh, yeah.
That was horrific. So, still. Let's move on to news that will annoy WWE gaming fans. Everyone knows that myself and Matt are avid gamers. We game all the time. We did some while we were we were actually close to each other last week. We saw the new Metal Gear Solid game, which we're playing now and on, but it's got nothing to do with that, even though that game is fantastic. Are you getting Metal Gear Solid back?
I will be. I've even managed to find a way to get it cheaper on PC.
Ooh, with your monster PC. All right. I got it for my 360, and it works okay. So, yeah. However, a new game coming up is WWE 2K16, and it is boasting, of course, the largest roster in existence. And apparently it has, over 120 different models and something like this?
Yeah, something like that.
So,
unique mods as well, so it's not even like, it's Cena in his 15 coloured t-shirts.
Yeah, I think the worst I saw on that was it's Cena from 05 and Cena from 2016 or whatever. So it's not that bad. Most, if any of them, they have two different ones. So they are actually being quite honest here, which I was quite shocked. Yeah. They've even found space on their roster for the likes of, General Mustafa and all that, right? So that Mikey Whipwreck, right?
D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, D'Lo Brown, right? So they've gone deep into their archives for people. So you'd expect with that many people, then they would, they would definitely include four of the most impressive young women to come into WWE in recent history, right?
You'd like to think so.
But they did, right?
Yeah.
Of course I'm talking about, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and the current NXT champion, Bayley. I mean, of course, yeah, maybe Becky Lynch because, she hasn't been champion, but Charlotte and Banks, they were the former champions. You now got the new champion, Bayley.
Not three girls who are currently on, the main roster.
Yeah, right.
We have them.
Yeah, they've been kicking some ass. They've been, taking some names. Alexa Bliss made it, so of course these women have to make it. Of course, if Alexa Bliss is on that roster, yep, she's on the roster. Yep. So if she's on there, then of course these girls are on there. No offense to Alexa Bliss, I do like her, what she's doing at the moment, but these girls are on a different level. Of course, we know that.
Fucking kidding me,
right? Guys, of course I'm being sarcastic. Yep, the 4 horsewomen will not feature in WWE 2K16. They will not be available in any DLC either, which I was actually kind of glad about that because I thought they might take them out and put them as DLC and charge people for them, which is ridiculous, right?
But Alexa Bliss is on the game.
But Alexa Bliss is in the game, yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm actually outraged.
So I was, initially, when I saw this story, I was like, well, you know what? There may be a reason behind this. Maybe just as a Raw, because they've got so many, they're cutting back on like the NXT divas. Maybe the story mode doesn't, have a thing for divas in the NXT ranks. And I thought, fair enough, Matt, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I went through the list, and literally, right there at the top, Alexa Bliss. So there is no excuse. Now, they took out a press release stating that apparently there are things, keeping them from not being in the game. I don't know what that is. I don't know, has WWE blocked it? If that is, I don't know. Can't even begin to think why. They can't state, it was done ages ago, because if they put time to put Alexa Bliss in there, then back in that time, that's when Sasha Banks and Charlotte were ripping up the division, leading that division. So they definitely should be in there, right? Maybe I could give a pass to Becky Lynch and Bayley because, in terms of title picture, they weren't around in that picture around about that time, Bayley was doing kind of random matches here and there, and Lynch hadn't quite got to that point. Yeah. Because they start doing all the models way before the game comes out. But no, Matt, can you think of a reason why they're out?
I can't think of a single reason, and it actually infuriates me.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And people may be saying, why are you getting so annoyed? I mean, I do plan on getting this game, right? Unless they fuck up the Xbox 360 port, which they did with the last one. They didn't put the career mode in, so I wasn't going to buy it. But it's just a little bit of an oversight, right? I don't... It's really odd. It's very strange, this. I mean, these are four very...
It doesn't, add up, does it?
You'd think with the people that are going to buy the game, which would be more of your hardcore WWE audience that might purchase the game, that you'd probably want 4 of the women that they were most interested in playing, which to me is those 4 women.
Yeah.
And obviously, WWE 2K got a lot of flack for this, the 2K games. They should do, because I think honestly, I thought this was strange. Especially like I said, you go through the roster and they've got, as you say, they've got D'Lo Brown, right? Mustafa, right? These are names that most fans do not know, right? People know who these 4 women are, right? And that's no disrespect to those people. It's just the generation. You're not going to have people that were in their prime watching wrestlers back then clamoring to get the game, by generalization, right? Some might be gamers, but the majority wouldn't, right? It's just their target demographic for a video game. Yeah, you can have some for, the wrestlers of old that have come in, but that's very vague. That's very niche, some of those wrestlers.
I just can't understand this, the fact it's okay, fair enough. I used the main roster as an argument, but they were going to be doing this at some point, but they rushed it, due to all the current publicity that female athletes are getting at the moment. Yeah. That's what brought the Revolutions, as a storyline to the front. Now. So I can't really use, but they're on the main roster as an argument. But, I mean, they were still around. What? They just weren't in that day or something?
Yeah.
No.
It seems like they got everyone else apart from these 4 women. To be honest,
the key 4 as well, especially considering WWE love posting up the 4 horsewomen photos.
Yeah, they love it. It's a strange one. Obviously, after this backlash, they will be in the next one. I think with the games it comes to, I think even last year you couldn't create women in the game, and that was very odd as well. And, I don't understand why that was the case. But me and Matt know that half of the fun of getting these games is creating some of the wrestlers yourselves. And, I like to create a few women, see if I can come up with a good gimmick or anything along these lines. But then they just took that out. It's very weird in terms of game development and stuff like this. I don't understand why it happened. But if you're angry about it, I wouldn't go tell 2K about it, because they made their stance pretty firm, which is we've got absolutely no plans of putting them in the game. So, bit of a shame there, to be honest. Matt, are you ready for our fan feedback? Will I've remembered that the defector, Dan Massey, as I call him, apparently, yeah, I'll say that. Apparently, he's given you a question to give to us. Would you like to elaborate this question?
Should Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose go on to the title hunt?
Which title? Well, obviously WWE World title.
Well, no, tag title hunt.
Oh, tag title. Okay.
Let me double check it.
It's your question. You answer first.
Let me check it.
Oh, you're checking it now? Okay.
I'm double checking it.
All right.
I mean, that's the gist of it. Would it be beneficial for Reigns and Ambrose to chase the tag team titles for a while with a feud at the end of it? No. Because I don't want the tag team division to be watered down with sort of thrown together teams. Like, I know they're not a thrown together team, but like, you get what I'm saying.
I do. I don't think now it counts for it. I mean, ordinarily I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but I think they say like with a feud to end it. I think we're going to get a feud out of this storyline anyway.
Well, between the two of them.
Honestly, why not?
Possibly.
I accept it.
I mean, to be honest, everyone knows about my thoughts about Roman Reigns going heel. I don't think the plan is anymore to have him wrestle for the belt at Mania. It might be, but it's not the plan that I put forth months ago now.
Yeah.
Should they do it? Not at the moment, because they're already in a feud that has nothing to do with the championships, and you've got the Dudleys coming in. They fill that role quite well. If the Dudleys went around and maybe they were, after this storyline, got nothing for Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, yeah, sure, go for it.
Why the hell not?
Why the hell not? If they're going to win the belts, I wouldn't keep it with them for long, because you have to do that implosion for long. I don't want them to do what Daniel Bryan and Kane did, which was stay a tag team for years. You know, well, not years, maybe like 18 months, whatever their run was. But I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, they had the chemistry that ended up working.
Yeah, it worked. I don't think WWE expected that tag team to work as best it did. Team Hell no, but yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that per se. If it does build up to a feud at the end, that's the killer line that Dan's put there. If it leads to a feud, then it's golden with me. If it's for nothing, then that will be more damage than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it leads to a feud, I've got no problem with that. At the moment, though, I think both things are full. I think when you've got the Dudleys there, you've got the tag team division sort of safe for the rest of the year. So that's just my opinion on it there. So
that's it.
Right, to my questions, to my non-defectors. There we are.
Okay.
I keep bringing light to this. You're going to have more defectors going your way, Matt. I know how it is.
And I welcome them.
And you welcome them with open arms, do you? You commie.
I welcome my flock.
You dirty damn ape. Yeah. You did it. You did it. I don't know where I'm going with this here. I don't know. Let's go to the questions before I go down some guerrilla pay-per-view plot.
Before you have to go to the Ambrose Asylum?
Ooh, okay, moving on. Crimson Omega asks, how are we guys surviving the Rusev, Summer, Ziggler, Lana storyline?
Alcohol.
With Matt, it's alcohol. With myself, it's lots of methamphetamine. And I mean lots of methamphetamine. Lots and lots. Crimson himself says that he has died 3 times and then wished back by Dragon Balls. And my only answer to that is, are you sure it wasn't methamphetamine? It is a hell of a drug. You may have seen that.
I approve the reference.
Yes. So,
with great difficulty and wishing for it to be over.
Yeah. And methamphetamine. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I want to get lots of meth. I mean, how do you think I do this podcast each week? Anyway, moving on. His actual question is, if we could give each member of the Shield another finishing move, what would it be? I would give them methamphetamine. No, I'm joking. I'm done. That joke's done. I went through this, and one of Crimson's suggestions was Rollins actually having the turnbuckle powerbomb as his finisher. I couldn't agree more. I think that's the dirtiest of his moves.
Yeah.
That powerbomb finisher should finish people. That should be the end of some people. I don't understand why that has to be like a setup move. I think that's a finishing move in itself. Ambrose, I came up with this sort of idea of maybe trying to, maybe when he's more of a heel, giving him like the clothesline from hell and changing that thing that he does on the ropes into the clothesline from hell. He said that's going to take a lot of education to the fans to get over that.
Do you know what? I'm not 100% sold on his like ricochet clothesline or whatever it is.
You don't quite. I mean, my wife doesn't like it at all. She thinks
she would be right to think so.
Yeah. Myself, I'm not as bothered about it, but I guess I'm one of the minority in thinking that. So
I'm not a fan of it.
yeah, but
because sometimes it looks okay. Like, it sounds really terrible. I was listening to another thing on YouTube, and it was like there's a very fine curve when it comes to omelets. Like, there are some really great ones, and the rest of them are just meh. And I think the same could be kind of applied to like Ambrose's like Ricochet clothesline. Like, sometimes it can look quite good, but most of the time I just think it looks naff.
Yeah. Well, I'm under the. I mean, I'm not saying take the move as it is now, and make that his finisher, not like Rollins. Here, you'd have to change it, make it a lot more visceral, and he is capable. I've seen him do those sort of clotheslines before, but then it's going to take a lot of education because that's one of his current moves where he does that clothesline, and that doesn't finish people at all, right? So you'd have to do a massive re-education. I accept that, and it may not be the best answer. And my other one...
To be fair, I quite like his dirty deeds.
Well, man, we're going totally against each other. I'm not as keen on the dirty deeds as a finisher either.
It might be the fact that it's a double hook DDT, and I quite like that.
Yeah, okay. Or is that I like the way that was it Drew McIntyre used to do it? He used to call it the Future Shock DDT, but used to get such torque on it.
Like the proper rock into it.
Yeah. Whereas Ambrose is more just pretty much like he just swings into the DDT. I don't mind it. I just don't think it's that great. And it's a shame that he doesn't win many matches by that move either. I mean, really. So that's a bit of a shame. With Roman Reigns, I would give him a jackknife powerbomb because that guy needs to make far more use of that vertical base of his. He's a tall guy, he's a powerful guy, and the powerbomb plays into stuff that he's done in the past. Give him the jackknife. Give him Kevin Nash's jackknife. Just maybe make it a bit safer.
I mean, to be fair, like his... he was essentially doing a jackknife powerbomb anyway.
No, that was a normal powerbomb. Oh, actually, yeah, kind of, yeah.
It was just made it was just made different by the fact that he had two guys assisting on the push.
Yeah. But I mean, the jackknife's a little bit different because it's less of a throw and more of a drop, and that's why it can be a bit more dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that would be fine for Reigns to have that. I just think there's not enough moves that he has currently that make use of the. I mean, he's a tall guy. He's a tall, big guy, right? Just make use of it. I don't know. Yeah. I know Matt's like, don't use the fucking generic big man moveset.
Powerbomb's fine. I'm fine with powerbomb.
Yeah, and especially if it's something different. The jackknife is a different sort of powerbomb.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give him stuff like the Batista bomb because I honestly think that would look a bit wrong on him. But still,
only one man can do that bomb.
Yeah, right. Do you have any suggestions before we move on from that? For different finishers for those three men?
I can't argue with your current selection.
The one I'm most confident in is that turnbuckle powerbomb. Like I said, that to me, whenever I see it, it looks like
I
it should
just want
end
him
people.
to have the curb stomp back.
Well, he's not going
I mean, the thing is, I kind of remember, like, you can't help but think back at a time where it's just like, do you remember when he used to finish like matches with the knee?
Yeah, well, the jumping knee off the top rope, and that used to finish people. Yeah,
like they won like I'm pretty sure that's how
they won the tag
him and
titles.
Reigns won the tag titles.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think it was that knee that you used to do right at the beginning. You finished a lot of matches in that early time before they got their finishes down. So I wouldn't. Out of the two, definitely, I'll take the turnbuckle powerbomb. Though. I just think that's so much more sort of dirty. It really is, but still. Alex from Wrestling Boom asks, do we think that by Sting facing Rollins for the WWE Championship, WWE are too scared to put their faith in younger stars and are relying too much on older talents? My answer is absolutely. Of course. I think it highlights WWE's lack of ability to create new main event stars, and they've had that problem, funnily enough, since certain John Cena became their big star around about 10 years ago. And I've had about a decade of struggling to make big stars over that period of time. And they've made a habit of using to get big numbers people that made their debut a very long time ago, right? And we were talking 30 years ago, right? So, you know, Yeah, sure, you can put some of your newer stars in main event matches, but when it comes to when Vince is backed into a wall and his subscriber numbers are down, which is the main thing he's worried about nowadays, he doesn't go to, okay, let's use Dean Ambrose. He doesn't go, all right, we need to start using Neville. We need to use, hell, even Randy Orton, right? He doesn't even really say that. He's just like, okay, we need a big number. I need to go to someone that doesn't usually wrestle, right?
Yeah.
So he goes to his Undertakers, he goes to his Rocks, he goes to his Brock Lesnar's, he goes to his Sting, which he has now. And it's a little unfortunate that in this day and age, we don't have all the big stars that we got back in, I'm talking about 1995 to 2005. We had a lot of big stars made in that period of time, a lot.
Yeah.
You're talking about Austin, Rock, Bret Hart was still going around back then. You got Undertaker ripping it up at that time, even though he was a star before then. Even Brock Lesnar was around about 2002, right? He won the title at SummerSlam 2002. So, yeah, you've got all these names here, and since 2005 onwards, I mean, we're talking over 10 years now, WWE hasn't been able to create those stars. I think they've gotten lazy. And as I said before, I mean, Matt's heard this all the time. He's probably sick of me saying it. Vince has gone back to booking as he did in the 80s, which is, I'm putting all my chips in one guy, which was back then Hulk Hogan, and now it's John Cena.
Yep.
Except now it's different, that it's in the 2015 infrastructure. So things obviously booked a little bit differently. But his initial thoughts in terms of running the company is, I've got this one big star that can make me money, and he's going to work as many times as I tell him to. Why do I need more? And it's so stupid. It's like, because that's...
It's like, I've got my workhorse.
Yeah. What he's worried about is making lots and lots of stars and one of them go off somewhere and make a living and build up another company. He's playing it uber safe. That's what he's doing. He's probably remembering the likes of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall being paid a lot of money and going off to another company and damn near bankrupting him.
Yeah.
That's what he's fearful about. He's not doing this because it's best. He's doing it because he's fearful. He's doing it a little bit. He's doing it because obviously it keeps things safe, but he's doing it because out of fear, because he's seen it happen before. What happens when someone else decides at this smaller company, I want to put fucking $50 million behind this company, right? Or even more, you probably have to do more, really, $100 million behind this company. I want to put the fight to Vince. I'm going to start putting feelers out and paying these guys more. And suddenly he's in this war again, and now all he has to do is worry about what John Cena does, because John Cena is the thing, So that's the reason why he does it. But yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame that it's got to that point. And I would much prefer it. I mean, me and Matt have always said, ideally, you want 4 big stars in your company.
Yeah.
And you can chop and change them as you please. But you have a main event pretty much every month that isn't as watered down as John Cena against Randy Orton.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
I loved it actually because on Facebook, like WWE were like, "Oh, on this date," and I remember that match.
Yeah.
And it was the I Quit match. I was like, "Oh."
What, the Breaking Point match?
Yeah, the true birth of Super Cena.
Yeah, the unearthing of Superman Cena. So yeah, that is the main issue with it there. But I'm actually quite proud of how eloquently I put that over. That may become a clip. I may put that up as a clip, actually. James H. asks, what county in Ireland do I live? Go on, Matt, you answer that first. What county of Ireland do you live in?
I don't live.
Dun, dun, dun! Well, he did ask it to me, so maybe it was wrong to ask you.
The only thing is, I'm here James H, and I was like, Headfield?
No, I'm pretty sure he's not interested in us showing that. Maybe getting a little bit too excited there. Apparently, if he lives in Donegal, sure. I don't know. Answering the question, honestly, I live in Cork, and I've been living here for a very, very, very long time, as Matt knows. And the story is, which I've said in this podcast before, I don't have a problem saying it, I married a beautiful Irish woman and just never left the country. That's essentially it. Matt knows
stole him.
Yeah, and he's been so salty about it ever since, haven't you? Yeah.
I have.
Kane St. Dennis asks, who do we think is the most criminally underused wrestler today and of all time? Well, today I can say without doubt is Cesaro. Easy.
Yep.
For a number of years now, which is a bit of a shame. I don't think anyone can reach the level of just idioticness.
Wasted talent. Yeah.
Waste of talent. That is Cesaro, unfortunately. The harder question is all time, of course. And by all means, there's probably more people, and I'm probably missing someone now. The first one that sprung up to me, Matt, was Dusty Rhodes in his WWE run.
Yeah.
I can't remember someone that drew that much, that drew as good as Dusty Rhodes. Maybe not at that particular era, but he still was a decent, he proved.
Chuck him in a polka dots, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that was ridiculous, right? And he wasn't used nearly as well as he should be, or as he should have been. And he was only in WWE for a little while, but even then it was a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Two other ones that sprung up to mind. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure. This is all down to what era of wrestling you watch the most, I guess, and this is just what propped up in my mind. The entire cruiserweight division in WCW was never used as much as it should be.
Yeah.
Instead of giving time to genuine good wrestlers. I mean, the cruiserweight division back then included the likes of Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko. And
Benoit.
yeah, right. And they just weren't nearly used as much. They gave all the spotlight to Hulk Hogan, which is sure, when it was part of the NWO, that was the big thing, fine. But then they kept giving the spotlight to him, and people got sick of it. That's why the NWO died. And plus, they added 50 billion new members, right? So. Yeah. There's that. And another one, WCW, Bret Hart. I think when Bret Hart went to WCW, he was criminally underused then. And misused. Maybe not unused, but misused. They didn't know how to use Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And he could have won them that war. And they basically had the golden key to win the Monday Night Wars, and they couldn't figure out how to put it in the fucking lock. They were too drunk to do it. So, that's the way I look at it there. What about you, Matt? All-time underused talent over our period. Like I say, I mean, I think Dusty Rhodes is probably the only one that I could think of that's outside of the period that I was watching. I think that's before I was born, so.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I could really think of. I wouldn't say underused, but I think underutilized, or essentially just sort of like ruined, would be Goldberg come WWE.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, he wasn't so much underused, but he definitely was misused, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of that. That's good. Because he could have been a huge draw, and he was for them.
Oh, yeah.
And they fucked it up a bit.
And it's like, no. So, what?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Like, I think Jericho mentions it quite a lot, where it's sort of like the stigma of like, you've come from that place.
Yeah. And if these talent couldn't you realise that they won the war, and there was no really need to think that way, then they could have earned a lot of money over the back of big stars coming in. And, man, I tell you what, I mean, as a kid back then, I mean, when we didn't even know each other for that long, you remember how excited everyone was for Goldberg to be going to WWE.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was awesome, right? And that first thing of him coming in and spearing The Rock, man, that was fun. But anything apart from that, yeah.
Yes, mate.
Kind of sucked. So, yeah. English Warrior. By the way, that was a really good answer, Matt, by the way. Give yourself a swish. 3-pointer on that one. English Warrior says, nice work, guys. Keep it up. You'll be big in no time. This isn't a question. I just want to bring it up because thank you. We're already bigger than we ever expected, and we're working harder than we're working a lot behind the scenes to get us going further. So really appreciate it when you guys say good episode. We getting a lot of good feedback recently, and believe me and Matt see all of them. We may not mention them each week, but we see them and we do appreciate them. Even for some of the people that don't leave questions and stuff and just say it's great. That's awesome. Fantastic. And to the people as well that leave us very constructive criticism, which we've had on occasion, that's just as good as well. So,
yeah, we still accept it.
Bazooka Majin says that he doesn't like what WWE are doing with Sheamus. It seems he's slowly morphing into the Money in the Bank holders curse and fighting the fans with the "you look stupid" chants. I think it's time to talk a little bit about Sheamus with this question. It wasn't so much a question, it was more of his opinion, but I wanted to bring it up. with all the bad things that I've said about Sheamus, you'll never hear me say that he's not talented in the ring. Because he is. Right?
Oh yeah, because saying that would just be a flat out lie.
Yeah, he's had some really good matches. And the first one that springs to mind is that match he had for the world title against Big Show, which I remember as stealing the show. And being... I mean, Matt, that's two people. You would think you pair them together now, Jesus, it would be a bore. And back then it was kind of the same, but they pulled something out of the hat.
Yeah.
That was quite exciting. I remember that match being the most exciting on that show. I can't remember what it was. And I know they put him in 2 other matches afterwards that weren't nearly as good, but still. The negatives to Sheamus, I don't know whether you feel this way, Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but the negatives to Sheamus, with him being so long being stale and boring, is that now it's hard to convince fans that he's anything but that.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I think we're going back to that re-education word, where it's just sort of like, don't forget, this is the guy who, like, his first feud coming into WWE was with Triple H.
Actually, well, no, it wasn't.
Was it not?
He won the world title against John Cena. That was his first feud in the main roster.
I swear I remember his first one being because he attacked Triple H.
Yeah, he attacked Triple H after he lost the title. You're close, just not quite there.
Oh.
Because he won the belt on his first match. Well, not first match, but first pay-per-view match. And then he literally lost it like the month afterwards, and then he went on to that. He won the match against Triple H at WrestleMania, is it? Man, that's testing my memory a little bit there. I think it was, yeah. So, yeah, it's... Yeah, I mean, as you said about re-education, I mean, he has been exciting at times. He just spent so long not being that way. That's how fans remember him now. So if WWE want to rectify, and I do believe it's their fault, if they want to rectify the way they've been booking Sheamus, then it's going to take... It's the same with the Divas Revolution. You can't give us crap for years and then expect us to think it's golden overnight. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You need to gradually re-educate your fans to understand that this guy is something different for what you perceived him to be. And the more time that he is one thing, is the harder that you can you have to spend longer than that to teach him that he isn't that, right? And to kind of tie in the Divas Revolution, didn't I say that, Matt? I said that right when this thing started. I said this division wasn't fixed, wasn't broken overnight. It can't be fixed overnight.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that they're having at the moment. They're shouting at people, "Oh, it's good now. You should like it," and we're like, "No, we don't." And it's like, and for me and Matt, it's like, yeah, sure, it's along the lines of because the matches aren't nearly as good and they're not booking them as well. But the general fan is like, but you've told us all along they mean nothing, and it kind of goes the same way with Sheamus, right? If he wins the title, Matt, I think he won't hold it for very long. I think he'll lose it within a month. So if he cashes in and wins it, which I actually think he will do, I think he'll lose it.
He'll win. I don't see him going down the losing, like the Money in the Bank loss books.
Yeah, cashing in and losing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he will win, but I think he'll lose it pretty much straight afterwards. Because he isn't a guy to believe me, Sheamus as champion ain't making any money for you. So...
No.
That's the way it is. And, yeah, sure, Seth Rollins as champion probably doesn't make him that much money as it is anyway, but at least he's a young star, and he's got way more potential than Sheamus does to lead a company, so...
Yeah.
May as well give him the chance, so... but that's my thought on Sheamus there. Yeah, it's so much along the lines of, yeah, Sheamus is trying, and I get that, and he's not a bad wrestler, but WWE's use of him in the past is going to haunt him for the rest of his career. If he wants to be anything different from what WWE has used him as... then he's going to need WWE to really pull their finger out and really, for a long time, change the way they think of him. I think he's happy the way he is, honestly. I don't think he cares that much. So. That's all the questions for this week, Matt. If our fans want to send us any questions, then you can do so in the comment section below, or tweet us at
Talk WrestlePod.
At Talk WrestlePod. Like a machine gun. Just fires those Twitter handles out like a gangster. Talking of gangsters, I really want to see that Black Mass movie, so...
Huh?
Oh, you don't know about that? It's a movie about like the greatest biggest like faux pas of the FBI, where this gangster, and it's all like based on true facts. This gangster basically used the FIB to remove his.
You've been playing too much GTA.
No, it's a movie. It's got Johnny Depp in it.
Oh, okay. So no, you said FIB.
Oh, yeah, so... Fucking hell. I have been playing too much GTA. The amount of times I've made that mistake. You do it as well, Matt.
I don't do that.
You don't?
No.
I'm sure you do.
No. Our friend did that at his wedding.
Alright, guys, I'm going to try and catch Matt out. Maybe not this week, but next week, maybe the week after that. I'm going to try and catch him out saying FIB instead of FBI. And you guys have got to be there to pick it up, because I won't say it when I do it. Alright? So, I'm going to see if I can catch you out with that shit, alright? But, yeah, Black Mass, I want to go see that. It should be cool. NXT report card. We are talking about one tag team. So 2 people, 1 tag team this week. And obviously, tag team seems to be the theme.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember now.
Sonny was just like, I don't know who we're doing. Oh, no, I remember.
Yeah, you remember now. Yeah. And because obviously, tag team is like the theme of NXT, they're doing the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And that will end at the next TakeOver special, which is, I think, is TakeOver... Respect. Yeah, that's it. RESPECT, of course. That should be the theme song for TakeOver Respect, by the way. Man, would that get a bad response or what? But still, knowing the NXT crowd, they probably would sing it when it comes on the thing anyway, but still. We're talking about the team that me and Matt have objectively said is one that we were surprised we were that impressed with.
Yeah. And
you guys may already know, we're going to be talking about Gable and Jordan. Obviously, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable.
Yeah. We are ready, willing, and Gable.
You are ready, willing, and Gable to talk about Gable. Yeah.
I am indeed.
You are Gable. Good. All I can think of though is South Park episode. Garbler. Are you Garbler? Yeah. Obviously I just said that me and Matt are big fans of Gable and Jordan, and it's one of the teams that I think. I mean, for instance, let's say this, and this is no knock to Enzo and Cass, because believe me, people know on this podcast how much we love Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
You had your shirt just to prove that, right?
Indeed.
Which, by the way, I was instantly jealous of, so you can be happy about that.
Yeah.
Even with Enzo and Cass, as good as they are, they're going to need a little bit of tender loving care when they get on that main roster to make sure people understand what the fuck's going on, right, with them, because they are so loud and they've got such a unique sort of style to them that they're going to need a little bit of TLC. Gable and Jordan are one of those teams that I'm pretty sure if they put them on the main roster tomorrow, they don't need that TLC.
No, I reckon they'd be ready to go.
Yeah, I reckon you can pack them up, send them off, and they'll be fine. And they'll do a good job for you. Obviously, NXT's a good place to be for them. Not so much for Jordan, but for Gable, because he hasn't...
I think all they'd have to do was just come up with some form of gimmick for them, but...
I don't even think you have to. I honestly think that...
I don't know. I don't think the Ready, Willing, and Gable stuff would work off the bat for them.
The only thing you'd have to do with them, and man, this is one thing I think WWE could fuck up, is that you make them a competitive tag team. I don't even think you have to gimmick them up that much. Because I think that while they are the technical team of NXT, right? That's sort of their thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what they're known for. But they're not just the technical team. They've got a little bit of swagger to them. That's why I like him. Gable's always playing up. When he does a great move, he loves pandering to the crowd. Did you just see what I did? Yeah. Jordan is such a big, hulking guy that, he always comes off smug. So that's why they come off like a good heel team. Even though fans kind of like them being around because they can do all the, the quirky stuff, Gable and all that shit.
Yeah.
Just talking about Chad Gable, the guy reminds me of so much of Kurt Angle. It's hilarious just how much I see him. And at the Kurt Angle when he just got into WWE by that fact as well. Just like a stupidly talented man who's just getting into wrestling and takes it on and gets really good at it quicker than anyone.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of that Gable. And obviously you've got Gable's history of being a very accomplished mat-based amateur wrestler. Doesn't that remind you of a certain Olympic hero?
He is. Well, Gable is an Olympian.
Yeah, right? All he's missing is the gold medals, right? And, later on, a couple of years down the line, shaving his head, and he could be Kurt Angle 2.0.
Yeah.
People might say, "Oh man, don't try and mention him in the same vein of Kurt Angle. We don't want him to be the new Kurt Angle. Well, guess what? Kurt Angle in WWE was pretty fucking fun, right? He was good, right? He's good. He was good in TNA at the start. Now he's just got on too much, and now you just want him to retire for his health. But it's sort of thing that Kurt Angle was a very, very good wrestler, right?
Oh yeah.
And he had this guy, this Olympian, this do-gooder who came in. He picked up how to be a heel so well.
To go with the American heroes.
Yeah. Right. It's not a bad name to be associated with, honestly. And some people might say, okay, we'll draw comparisons to them with the world's greatest tag team, which you've got Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas. I might go out on a bit of a whim here and say that Shelton Benjamin was the star of that team athletically. I think that Gable and Jordan, as a team, when they grow, will have more to them than the world's greatest tag team. Yeah. That's a pretty big say, right? But I think they will. Man, I'm building these up quite a bit. I really like this team, guys. And the reason I like them is because they work with relatively zero gimmick. I think that's part of their gimmick, sort of the thing, right? That they are.
Yeah. It was like when I was watching their match for the... obviously the Dusty Special, and I'm like, this is so good. Like it's like you said, like with their pandering and that lot, and I thought it was just great because there's that moment where it's just sort of like, I think it was like Gable was actually, like in the ring at the time, and there's like you've got Jordan just like fanning him with the towel, and just like, it's so good.
Yeah. Right, they've made it work already, right? Just imagine how better they could be with time.
The thing is, they've built it up pretty well, actually. Like, with the whole reluctancy of Jordan, like, teaming with Gable, it's like, I don't need you, I will find a proper partner. It's like, but I'm Gable.
Yeah.
It's like, no, back the fuck up. I don't need you.
Yeah. Like I said, they kind of, the thing is, they actually have some character development, because Jordan, every now and then, right, whenever that comes up, he's still like, no, I'm not saying it, something like this, and carried on.
I love, it's like, there was one bit, it was like on a backstage segment, where it's just sort of like, oh, like, it's like, you say it again, it's like, I'm not saying it, it's like, but it's on camera!
Yeah.
Like, we now know you've said it, sort of thing.
But it's good. I like the back and forth between them. It's entertaining, right? It works. Yeah. And Matt, what's your grade? It has to be high. I've put mine pretty high. What I think for at this stage of their career,
for the level they're at, I'm so happy to give them. Like, I'll give them a B+.
Give them a B+.
Yeah.
Well, I've gone higher.
Ah.
I've given them an A-.
Okay.
I think they're the perfect potential winners of this Dusty Rhodes Classic. I do think they should win.
Yep.
And then I think they should feud with Ford Villains for the championship. I don't mind. We'll come to that bridge when we get there about who wins the championship. But maybe it's time for Ford...
Do you know what? I would be happy for that to be the case.
Yeah. That to me is a match I'm interested in. And, man, I tell you what, Gable and Jordan are as ready as any team on that roster to be put in that spot. So, fair play to them. They're one of the teams that I enjoy the most on that show. And when they have matches, I am very interested in what they can do. So, awesome stuff like that. So, yeah, they're good students in our class, and we hope they continue their good work. As long as they do their homework, of course. We go to our Raw review. This is the go-home show for Night of Champions. Not Hell in a Cell, as some people might tell you it is. And this follows a series of bad Raws in the ratings. A lot of bad Raws in the ratings that they've had. And the main reason for that, ideally, I think, which WWE are pointing to, is the NFL season has started.
Yep.
Which is always going to trump WWE, no matter how they try and spin it. I got even worse news for him. NBA is starting up soon. They're going to take more hits with that each week. And man, WWE are having a hard time keeping their ratings up without the sports coming back into season. Now they're gonna have a fucking nightmare. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
They better start pulling their finger out and keeping their fan base interested, because there's a lot of episodes of Raw flying by which people can't even give a rat's ass about. I actually think the shows have got a tiny bit better over the last couple of weeks, but I think it's the reason being is that they've had consecutively such poor shows. Now they're paying the price for it, right?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Sports is always going to be entertaining, right? Well, sometimes some matches can be bad, right? But you always have a vested interest in your team or something doing well, or an enemy team, an opposing team, a rival team doing badly, right?
Yeah.
I'll watch Manchester United matches if I think they're going to lose because I like to laugh at them, right? Because I'm a Manchester City fan. So I think that they are going to have trouble keeping, I think they're going to have let's say, a turbulent couple of months leading into the end of this year. And hopefully it leads to WWE kind of going, oh, we need to actually, start actually trying a little bit, right?
Yeah.
This is the apparent season premiere of Raw, which I still think is ridiculous for a weekly episodic television show to have a season premiere. But still. And this came from Memphis, Tennessee. I think they were actually at Memphis not too recently. I still remember I remember saying on one of the shows recently that they were from Memphis. But I could be wrong with that. But
I can't remember.
Seems wrong at Memphis not to have, for at least 1 week, the King come back and do commentary for a week. But
yeah.
Still.
To his home crowd. Nah.
Stephanie and Triple H come out. They're now adorning a big Connor's Cure print on the entrance ramp.
And a yellow rope.
Yep, that's it. They put in that rope now, so they're doing a lot of the stuff that they were doing for like the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And for people maybe asking, actually at the last WWE show we went to, I brought myself a Connor's Cure bracelet. It's somewhere around here. I'll have to grab it out for the NXT special. But
if one of your girls hasn't stolen it, 'cause it's colourful.
They probably have. It's actually quite a nice little bracelet and it's colourful and all this shit. So they've probably taken it and they're wearing it right now. I have no clue. But yeah, to be honest, when we go to NXT, if they're selling them there, which they probably will be, I'll probably grab myself another one because it's a good cause to go for.
Yeah, I'll be picking one up.
So they name drop a bunch of former NXT talents that is now on the main roster, saying they're all led by Seth Rollins, who's the new generation. They rattle down all the matches for Hell in a Cell. I mean, Night of Champions, of course. And by the way, Miz, that's not the last time I'm going to make that statement, believe me. And when we get round to when you actually said it, woohoo! Here we go. And they said that on this Raw, Sting will compete for the very first time on Monday Night Raw this week, and it'll be against The Big Show. And it reminds me of that Kayfabe News article about that guy waking up from a coma and saying Terror Rising is now running WWE. Be like, they're still wrestling after all this time? It's like, yeah. I mean, yeah, cool. Sting wrestling on Raw. I mean, that's pretty cool. Sure, I'm into that. But I mean, if you go through that roster and go through
the Big Show,
yeah, like if you go through that roster, there isn't that many people left that Sting has wrestled, right? Especially in WWE.
I mean, that could be it. Is the fact that it's not. I mean, apparently, Sting said in an interview that he's actually there to put talent over.
Who? Big Show?
No, Sting.
Oh, okay.
The Sting himself is there to put talent over. I mean, okay, fair enough, but don't wrestle Big Show.
Yeah, but again. I mean, even still, there is a full locker room there that would love on their CV to say that I wrestled Sting on his very first match on Raw, right? And it would be unique.
To be fair, a lot of them would just be happy to say I've wrestled Sting.
Yeah. Right? It doesn't even matter, right? I just thought it was a bit of a shame because people were immediately bringing up the comparisons of it's Sting against the Giant, WCW again. It's a bit of a shame still. But I mean, there's a whole roster of heels.
Which they've even mentioned because they played off the video packages, and it's just like, this is when Sting first won the... No, it wasn't. It was sort of like this was the invasion angle. I can't even remember what angle it was now.
What do you mean?
Against NWO.
Yeah.
And it's like, and who's that lifting Sting? That was the Big Show.
Yeah, it was his win at Starrcade 97 where he beat Hulk Hogan. I was very shocked that they even said his name, to be honest. I was like, oh, Starrcade 97 when Sting won the World Championship and then don't even show Hulk Hogan.
No one.
Yeah, right. And beat Stevie Richards in a valiant effort. But still, yeah. I mean, I don't have too much of a problem with it there, but I just thought it would be cool. Man, if you had gone to someone like Kevin Owens and said, "Do you know what? Do you feel like bumping around for Sting a little bit?" I'm sure Kevin Owens would have been like, "Fuck yes, yeah, definitely."
I will bump everywhere
Yeah.
for Sting.
And it's not as if, considering the plan that they had, it's not as if he would have to take the losing fall. You know, that wasn't the plan anyway. So, still. So yeah, basically all they do here is say, "Oh, Sting is gonna come out. He's gonna wrestle. Here's the lineup for the matches. Here comes the New Day." And then they dance with New Day for a little bit, which shows that Triple H only has the same dance moves I have, which are the dad dance moves.
Yeah.
And believe me, they aren't pretty. I'll admit that, but still. New Day versus Primetime Players in the Tag Team Championship title match to open up the show. I asked myself at the start of this match, when was the last time we've seen Xavier Woods actually competing in a tag match?
I almost seem to sort of think to myself, it's like, has he forgotten how to wrestle?
Yeah, I think he might have. Jeez, he's getting ring rust as a tag team champion. I don't even know anyone's ever done that before. Or maybe Nikki Bella getting ring rust in terms of defending her championship. So, I mean, like, to be honest, people might be going, "Oh, what would you actually pick him over Big E and Kofi?" And that, I'd say, fair play, fair point. I wouldn't, but still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But it's just hilarious that he's barely involved, right? That his only job is to play his fucking trombone, right? Which, by the way, if you touch his trombone, man, the New Day go from clapping or happy to fucking, like, serial killers, right? Do not touch that trombone, you might get knifed.
You don't fuck with another man's trombone.
Yeah, right? It's like the demeanor, all of them. So then you've got Xavier Woods just shouting at the top of his lungs, "Don't touch my trombone!" I'm like, fair enough. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I will not touch his trombone.
Innuendo.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can you imagine Xavier Woods just shouting at airport security, "Don't touch my trombone"? I mean, the sexual misconstruement is quite strong in that particular. There you go, WWE. You've got a dick-based comedy short there for you. I'm just giving it to you. I thought this match was fairly decent. Titus O'Neil gets distracted by Woods, funny enough, and his trombone, which is yet another innuendo. He gets pinned after New Day hits their finisher, so they start celebrating by gyrating their hips on the table.
And Kofi nearly fell off.
Yeah, Big E could basically be an exotic dancer, and he could still be making the same moves. So, still, the Dudleys come out and they proceed to look at each other very, very violently. Yeah, and that's it.
So, don't you forget, we're still here.
Yeah, sort of thing. So, sure. I thought it was a good match to get the crowd pumped up at the start of the show, at least. So that's fine.
Oh yeah.
Seth is talking with Trips and Stephanie backstage. They reveal Cena versus Sheamus tonight, and Seth is happy. Yep, no, guys, that's just it. That's all that was there. No, nothing else. Just that.
Like Seth didn't whine like a douchebag.
Yeah. Sure. With stuff like this, it makes you wonder why they even did the segment. But sure, okay, all right. Rick and Charlotte Flair are backstage with Renee Young. Charlotte says that being Divas champion has been her dream, carrying on Rick's legacy. And then Ric Flair says he's living vicariously through his daughter, and that the Divas Revolution has been amazing, and it's had world-class matches. And it's just that awkward moment when people tell him that he's been watching NXT instead of WWE. It's a shame.
The thing is, like, do you remember when, like, Flair was there in Charlotte's corner in NXT?
With those world-class matches.
Good match as well.
Yeah, with those world-class matches that you're talking about.
When she had a match with with Natalya.
Yeah. So...
and Brett just couldn't care.
Yeah. That was so funny, yeah. But yeah, it's like a little bit like... it's Here, right, so the whole thing about having Ric Flair shouting at the camera about how great this Divas Revolution is, guess what? Doesn't make it so. Doesn't make it real. And
hey,
you can
Ric Flair says it is.
It's like WWE shouting at people saying, "Look what we're doing with these women, it's amazing and you should think it's amazing." And everyone else is going, "Actually, it's not."
Yeah.
And they're going, no, you should think it's amazing because Ronda Rousey.
Serena
And we're like,
Williams, Ronda Rousey.
yeah, we're like, cool. Ronda Rousey's fun. She's entertaining. This isn't. But Ronda Rousey. That's all they can say, essentially. So, sure. Talking of Divas Revolution, Paige versus Sasha Banks. Their third match in 3 weeks with these girls. You would hope that WWE would have more cards to their pack, considering the amount of women that are actually on their roster and willing to wrestle.
Yeah.
But still. Tamina moves Sasha out of the way of a splash. This leads to Sasha Banks getting the victory over Paige. Afterwards, Team Bad take out Becky and Paige. They're slowly teasing the breakup of this team, which, thank God, it should have happened. It should never have even happened in the first place. But there we go. Talking about the Dusty Rhodes Classic, you could have easily made a tournament between all these girls. You know, you've got 9 there. Cut off one of them, maybe, that you don't want. Maybe Tamina, right? Because she's the one that people want to see the lead. Oh, but maybe Brie Bella, actually, to be honest. And then, like, have all of them in like a bracket. They go against each other. That's how you get your number one contender, rather than the beat the clocks shit that they did. Gosh. Man, that would have been... How competitive would that would have been? People would have been very excited about those matches. But, alas, we have what we have.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. They show footage of Conor the Crusher. You may remember Conor the Crusher as the one-time Match of the Week winner on this own podcast, where his match against Triple H was Match of the Week. And whenever they show any footage of that kid, it's an awesome legacy for him to have left behind. And I'm sure that everyone who knew him and were close to him must be proud of it, regardless of him passing away. It must be a nice feeling to have that. So.
Well, it's one thing his dad actually said in their video package. It's like it sucks, obviously, that I think it was like, I'd give anything to have my son back, but then I'm thankful that he's been able to give so much hope to all these other children. It's like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's it. And I'll tell you what, I don't claim to know best in the situation, but it must be at least a positive way to look at it all. Considering, such a horrible thing had happened to an innocent kid, really. So.
Yeah.
Miz TV is next. And, we're going to get to this bit. Get ready, guys. I laughed when Miz tried to get the crowd to say Miz TV, but got basically, at best. That's pretty much what you got.
Yeah, just meh.
Maybe they grumbled it in, saying Miz TV. Just grumbled it out. Yeah. He, this week he interviews the Wyatt family. They all come out, and Bray tells Miz immediately, do not sit down, because there's a whoopee cushion. There's a thumbtack on your chair, Miz. I'm trying to help. No, he says it's not safe here. That's what he says. Miz says that he's not Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns' partner at Hell in a Cell, which is all well and good, but what about Night of Champions? Yeah.
The worst part is I was so hoping for Bray, where it's just sort of like, just to really put the emphasis.
Yeah, to bring it up again.
Down to it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's all good, well and good. At least if they have another tag match, we definitely know for sure that Miz is not their tag team partner for Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
So we know that for sure. Okay, guys? So Miz, with his great words there, just letting us know.
I love how he plays out like that he's like the world's greatest actor, yet he can't remember his lines.
Oh dear. Well, at least Randy Orton can share that pain. So. Yeah. Miz asks Braun Strowman to explain who he is. By the way, Bray Wyatt is the one who tells him, you should ask him. And when he does so, Bray Wyatt just interrupts him and says, starts talking. Bray asks, I
can only imagine he's like in a zoo, like, please don't feed the Strowman.
Yeah, don't talk to the Strowman. Okay. So, Miz then asks an actual fairly decent question. What does Bray actually want? Right? The most inconsequential man in pro wrestling, Bray Wyatt. What does he actually want? What is he actually doing? Right? He says that he wants people to pay for their sins for them to suffer. And then Reigns and Ambrose make their way out to the ring. which for some anti-Reigns fans, surely that was suffering. I don't mind Reigns myself, for sure. They take out Miz, which, to be fair, he doesn't have to be ready until Hell in a Cell, so he should be fine. Should recover before
He's
then.
got plenty of time.
Plenty of time before then. And Reigns says the Wyatts aren't that bad. They can't beat Reigns or Ambrose without any help. Reigns says they have a partner for Night of Champions, but the only question I have to say to that is, how is that going to help them at Hell in a Cell? That's the real question here.
It's just...
Right?
Can't comprehend the difference it's going to make.
Okay, right, And you know what? I don't know about you, Matt. All the time that they had this standoff, all I was thinking was this has absolutely none of the magic that it had when the Wyatts and Shield were standing.
Yeah.
There's none of that. But nor should it do, but it just doesn't even have any sort of that same feeling, so... Bit of a shame. And yeah, the segment... Oh, here's an awkward thing. These are one of two really awkward moments on this show. And granted, the second one's worse. This one isn't as bad, but still. It's still awful, right? So it just ends with them staring at each other. It does the Wyatt little blah thing, right?
The thing I hate is the fact that there was like the crowd were like, it's going, fight, fight, fight. And it's just like... Oh, they're done now? Oh.
Well, it's not even that, right? So I don't mind them not fighting, because normally they'll do that black thing and it'll go to commercial, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they didn't, right? They went straight to commentary, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, so to the live fans, what they've essentially seen is these two teams eye each other up, right? Then it goes to the camera goes to the commentary, and then these two teams just gradually just walk up the ramp.
Yeah.
Wow! What a deep rivalry, these guys. They can't even stand being in the same ring as each other. They're going to beat each other up, and then they're just meandering up the ramp.
Strolling off together.
It was a little bit like, oh, right. That was a bit awkward, right? And yeah, even to the people watching the show, it must have seemed that way a little bit like, what? It just ended there, but still. That isn't nearly... There was a moment later on the show, which I still don't know what happened, and Matt, I would like to ask you what happened when we get to it. John Cena versus Sheamus, and is it weird that I came to a point where I thought that Sheamus couldn't wrestle anyone apart from Randy Orton? Apparently he can. He's remembered that he can wrestle other people, so that's a good thing, because Orton's gone for a little while. So
yeah.
You know what? Like all the stuff I said about Sheamus before, doesn't really change the way he is now. I don't think there's ever been a wrestler that has collectively bored more WWE fans than Sheamus. He's basically...
Yeah, I mean, it goes to our question from earlier. It's like, it's going to be a real task to try and re-educate fans into thinking, like, Sheamus is a threat.
Yeah. Right.
So, nah.
Or he's even interesting. That's the main
Yeah.
point. I mean, basically, he's a pasty white cure for insomnia, right? Which is, like, the worst thing you want on your wrestling show. So... The match is okay. It's technically sound, which I guess is the most frustrating part of Sheamus. He does everything right, but it's not fun.
But it's not good.
Yeah, it's just not interesting, right? Cena gets the win with an AA. JBL shouts about the match was best for business. And I'm sure as you were shouting, a few people were waking up and going, oh, well, okay, it's finished.
The
awesome.
match was adequate.
Yeah. So. Ryback is out. And he's got a mic in his hand. I gave up on this promo the moment that Ryback attempted an Elvis Presley impression.
Yeah.
Which was so bad, I really didn't have a problem with JBL talking over his promo. And normally I hate that shit. So...
I still found it annoying.
Yeah, I might find it a little bit annoying. But to be honest, I was like, what? What did you just try and do, Ryback? No, don't. He cuts a promo, Ryback, which is a lot like what he did last week, which is basically him reciting lines. And, like I said, Ryback is far better. We've seen him do promos. When he draws on his own personal stuff,
yeah,
that's when he does his best mic work. Here, he wasn't doing any of that, right? He got a little bit better once Kevin Owens came into the mix, and Owens was reminding him about what an actual good promo is, right? So Kevin Owens comes out with the book The Secret, which apparently meant a lot to Ryback. And Owens immediately gets the heel heat by saying he feels sorry for all the delusional idiots that believe in that book.
Sort of self-help books, yeah.
Yeah. I thought, Matt, Imagine the amount of heat if he had brought out a Bible and said exactly the same thing.
That's it. Like WWE can't exist anymore.
Can you imagine going out a Bible? I feel sorry for all the delusional idiots that believe in this book. Woo! You get nuclear heat.
You're gonna get problems.
In WWE's next live show inside the Vatican. Oh dear. Or anywhere in Ireland, for that matter.
Yeah, that's true.
That would annoy a few people.
Southern states of America.
Yeah, that's it. He says that it's a travesty that Ryback is the champion, and then Ryback goes on with his rehearsed diatribe about who he is and how he's gotten back up and all this other stuff. Owens says he's going to take the title from him. Their match at Night of Champions is confirmed, and Owens walks off. I thought that Ryback was awful. I thought Owens was good. And the contrast was a lot clearer because...
I love the improv with the fact that, like, Owens tried to chuck the book out of the ring. It hit a rope. He tried to kick it. It fell to bits. It's like... And it's just like... And just chucks it in Ryback's face. Like, did I miss? Did I miss now?
He's so quick off the mark, Owens, isn't he? That's why... he's underused the way he is. He should have a mic in his hands every week. Should Kevin Owens, but still. Because, as I said, I believe he's a once-in-a-generation heel. Honestly, I do, but still. Stardust and the Ascension versus Lucha Dragons and Neville. Here's the second WTF moment of the week. As in, I don't understand what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
So...
Like, where's this rivalry come from?
Not even that, right? Let me explain what happened, Matt, right? So, Stardust and the Ascension come out. They get ready for the match, right?
Yeah.
Then Lucha Dragons and Neville come in. They have a fight. And guess what? That's just the end of it.
Yeah.
They...
Just done. It's like...
Yeah.
What?
As in, they fight. Stardust and the Ascension back off. And instead of going, after the break, the match will start. That was it.
Yeah. Just done. Okay.
And it wasn't as if, like... So, like, for instance, there's only two ways this could be done. That, it was meant to have a match, but the brawl got out of control, in which case it didn't really get that out of control. Stardust and Ascension left of their own devices.
Accord, yeah.
Right? Or, it's along the fact of, it was never meant to be a match, in which case, how fucking stupid is that? Yeah. Why the hell did they come out?
Like, we're coming down to the ring for a scrap.
Yeah, it's like, we need to fill a slot. Let's just get these guys out there to have a good, fisticuffs, in the ring.
Beat each other up in a backstage segment. It would have been so much better.
I'm like, after this, I was like, basically, I was watching it. I was doing my notes. I was looking at, what my little girl was doing, see if she's having fun, needed any food, blah 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 blah, doing daddy stuff. I looked back and suddenly the commentary talking about what's going on in the rest of the show, and I'm like, wait, what did I miss? Did I miss the end of that match? I went back and looked at it, and no, I hadn't missed a thing. It just ended.
Yeah.
So I have no clue. I don't know what this was, guys. I have no idea. Yeah. That's basically it.
It just was.
It just was. Yeah. Fun. They show a video package of Nikki Bella explaining her year, saying it's been revolutionary and she'll break the record.
It.
Yeah. To be honest,
I was like, I am not listening to anything that Nikki has to say.
I mean, this champion, this mighty champion who, as you remember, her famous lines, man, she said some very inspirational stuff during her stint as champion. This is the most inspirational one. Wins and losses don't matter.
Yeah.
So, there we go. I mean, kudos to WWE to trying to make this seem like a big deal, but considering the way they wanted to finish it, it kind of was counterproductive, shall we say.
The worst part is, I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, the most important thing that Nikki's ever said, I'm on the right dick.
Yeah.
I think that's all it comes down to.
Ooh, that's very controversial.
I don't care.
You don't care. Okay.
I think it's just that whole thing. It's just like, we'll get to it, but I think I can see and I can hate on the benefits and the flaws of this revolution and the result from tonight.
Yeah, which we're going to get into just now.
Yeah.
Here's my question to all our fans. Do you think John Cena would have banged Nikki Bella if she hadn't got her boob job?
Ooh.
That's interesting, isn't it? Asking the real questions. The soul of Roddy Piper is filling me with the questions that must be answered. Nikki Bella versus Charlotte for the Divas Championship. This match didn't get a chance to become anything special, right? I thought it was building up okay, but they decided to use the finish pretty much before this could be conceived of anything better than alright, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So here's the finish, because it's not really worth talking about the match. The match doesn't last that long. Brie Bella uses twin magic, and then Charlotte pins her. So she celebrates as the new champion, right? And then Stephanie comes in and basically says, oh, well, you pinned Brie Bella, so it's now a DQ. You still get the win, but as we know, titles cannot change hands as part of a disqualification. So Nikki Bella retains the championship.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And she doesn't go along the lines of... by the way, she did this apparently, Matt, to uphold the dignity of the Divas division.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering, like, a whole heap of bullshit. Because it's just sort of like, well, if she got clearly caught cheating, you know what you do? You restart the match.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what you do. If she's cheated and you know the one thing that she wants, you want to uphold the dignity of the championship, you want to be true. I mean, come on, the Authority are corrupt. We all know that. But, I mean, it's a bit of bullshit, really, that they would go along the lines of, yeah, so we're just not going to restart the match. Oh, she just went, oh, lol. Yeah, she's still champion. I thought,
lols.
Yeah, right. It was, I tell you what it was, right? I guarantee you, if there was not a record to beat, then and they'd done the same thing,
they'd have restarted it.
They would have restarted it, and Charlotte would have won the championship. I very much doubt that finish would have happened. I'm sure Charlotte would have won. I tell you exactly what it was. They let their spite get the better of them, and they made a spite decision over a business decision.
Well, apparently they were really in two minds as to like where this match was going to go, sort of like who'd be the winner. And sort of like, I don't know if I buy that. Apparently it's like, even like I read somewhere, it's like even now, like 2 hours before the show, like they still don't know. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they know.
Yeah,
they just don't want to admit.
If they had brought up this long title reign and she had multiple championships before this, they could have built up this a lot more. They said they rushed it, right? And they said, oh, this is the only match that decides whether she's going to have this long title reign, right? And the record title reign.
Yeah.
I dislike when they do the deflated title victory, right? They did it to Dean Ambrose, remember? He was world champion all of 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I think it harms people's perceptions of these. I think when you do a fuck finish in a big title match like this, I think it does mess with people, your fans, in the long term, and they will be less inclined to be that amped up about a title match in the future.
Yeah.
I think it is, in the long term, damaging. I think they're suffering already from the damage that they've done in these sort of finishes, and I heavily dislike the way that they did this finish. They basically, what they wanted to do, I'm pretty sure that at the pay-per-view, Charlotte's going to win that belt.
Yeah. Do you know what the worst part is?
Go on.
It won't mean as much.
It won't. Yeah, exactly. If she had beaten and stopped the record, that would have been a big thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I'm sure that for business, to make a big new star in that division, Charlotte winning this title would have been a big deal, right? Then you can have the rematch at Night of Champions. That's fine, right? And that kind of gets rid of Nikki Bella and what she's doing at the moment. Moves on to the fresh blood, which is where this needs to go, right? No offense to Nikki Bella, she's actually fairly decent, but still. But what they did essentially is that we know that there's people behind the scenes that are pissed off that CM Punk and AJ have those two records. AJ doesn't have that anymore because they wanted it gone. And I guess what? I get the feeling they want Seth Rollins to beat CM Punk's title reign as well. And I think it's a spite thing rather than a business thing. You know? And you might say, Tony, that seems stupid. Guys, that WWE have done this before. They had the record with Brock Lesnar being the youngest world champion. Do you remember that?
Yep.
The youngest world champion. Guess what? He left the company. Yeah.
And then Randy Orton became the youngest world champion.
Yeah. He left the company the year Randy Orton became world champion and beat his record. Believe me, if there was no record to beat, Randy Orton wasn't even going to be in the title picture. I can guarantee you. Because guess what? They might be going, well, but they put the strap on Orton. Yeah, and they took it off him the month after.
Yeah.
It went straight back to Triple H. All they wanted to do was to break that record because that fucker Lesnar had gone off, and he'd left the company, right? So they felt the need to strip him of that accolade, and it's the same thing with what they're doing here. I honestly think this decision was a decision based on spite, not business, and I think that this whole thing of Vince likes to tell people of I put all these things aside for business. I think that people that know normally Vince can be like that. Sometimes he can get very spiteful and he'll pull off stuff like this, and he'll put it along the lines of, well, that was best for business because we need that associated to a talent we have. It's like, no, that's coming out of spite because you're pissed off that someone left you in the dust, right? Let's just be honest with it here. So, does this match set back the Divas Revolution? Of course it does. Is it? People are calling it non-salvageable. Don't be silly. It is salvageable. It's always salvageable. It's whether or not WWE choose to make the right decisions. I don't think they have, but there we go. Hopefully Charlotte gets that belt. They start taking the light more off the Bellas, and they start putting it on these rising stars, and then people will feel it is more like a revolution, not what we've had all along, because this feels like what we've had all along. So, there we go. Rusev versus Cesaro. I call Cesaro a modern tragedy. There's a headline for you.
I can completely agree.
When you see how innately talented this man is, and how he actually gets people into his matches, he engages, he entertains.
Yeah. And I don't understand how they can't see it. It's the fact that he's over.
Yeah, it's
like his if anything, like his rivalry with Owens kind of proved that.
Yeah, it's actually frustrating at this point now that they just that. I tell you what it is, Matt. He doesn't entertain people the way that the management thinks people should be entertained.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh no, you're not really entertaining." But it's like, but and the fans are saying, "Well, we're entertained by watching him. We like this guy."
No, you're not. You don't know what you want.
Yeah, you don't know what entertainment is. We're gonna get El Torito to run around the ring for 10 times while being chased by Heath Slater. That's funny shit, right there. And it's like, but we like Cesaro. We want to see him succeed. He's awesome. He does stuff in the ring no one else can. He is entertaining. He's someone that we want to see in big high profile matches. And they're like, no. And it's bad that when he came out for here, I initially thought that he was going to be basically fodder for Rusev. Sorry. In the course of this match, which Cesaro is being an absolute boss, entertaining people, which they told him to do, and he's doing it. All right. Ziggler comes out, gives a gift to Summer Rae, which caused a distraction for Cesaro to pick up an extremely rare victory for him, which is unfortunate. Backstage, Rusev is raging over the loss, and then when Summer Rae looks at the gift, it isn't actually just like a big middle finger, it's actually some jewelry, and it makes me think that they're going to go with the plan of putting Lana and Rusev back together, and Ziggler's like the heel that basically played the field and got all the women out of the situation, and Lana gets frustrated, and they might make a way of trying to make Rusev and Lana face. I don't think they want. I think the decision to keep Lana face outweighs keeping Rusev heel. If you get me.
Yeah.
So that may be where they're going with this. I mean, like I said, it wasn't just a distraction. They are playing up that Ziggler and Summer have something going on, right? So we'll see how it goes there. And by the way, Lana posted up a picture of her actual fucking thing, getting her arm sorted out. It doesn't look good. It looks grisly. So that's the reason why she's out. Makes you wonder what actually she did to get that injury, or whether, she just, like I said, I just don't think her body can cut it, and that's no bad thing towards her, but still. Triple H and Stephanie talk with Big Show. I tuned out. I don't know what they talked about. I have absolutely no shame in saying that. If a show makes me tune out, then that's their fault, not mine. Then it leads to Sting versus Big Show, the main event for the night. And I thought it was quite funny that this match started with about... Like, when it started, I looked at the runtime of my recording and it had about 20 minutes left. So I was like...
Yeah. It's like, he's not going to go for a 20-minute match.
I was like, okay, so you've got entrances and endings. Is Sting going to go for 15 minutes? Like, what? Obviously, I knew from that point then that it was going to be like something's going to happen. I will say though, man, it still looks surreal seeing Sting compete in that ring. It's I'm still not used to it, but that's why it's fun. That's why it's interesting. It's out of the norm. Doesn't look like it should be there, and that's kind of fun, right? Did you get the same sort of feeling?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, considering as I said the last time, but the only time we've seen him wrestle was at Mania.
Yeah.
Like, even seeing him at Mania was sort of shocking enough. It's just sort of like, this is it. Sting's genuinely at a WWE event.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool to see. And the record books always state that this was the Raw that he had his first match on. Technically, his first two matches, right? Well, his first two matches on Raw. So basically, as this comes out, Rollins comes in about like 5 minutes in with Sting getting all the offense. He's basically beating the shit out of Big Show. And he looks good doing it, by the way, Sting. He's in great shape for someone his age, right?
Yeah.
Let's not take this away from him.
Especially when you start thinking back and it's just like they're showing video footage of previous matches, you think one of them's in 1988.
Yeah, right. That 1988 was the year I was born, and he's still going, and he's looking all right. So fair play to the guy. Honestly, he's taken this more serious than a lot of legends would have done in his position. He's taken this as if, okay, if I'm in the ring, I'm in the ring. I'm going to take my bumps. I'm going to try and do as best I can. And I've got massive respect for Steve Borden, Sting, to do that, right? Because a lot of, maybe some less not I want to say self-sacrificing, less caring individuals would have been like, all I have to do, Hulk Hogan would have gone, all I have to do is like a leg drop and like, a big boot, and that's pretty much what I need to do, right? And I can get out of here with my paycheck. Sting's like, no, if I'm coming back, I'm going to entertain. I'm going to take my bumps. I'm going to wrestle for the time that a main event should be. Fair play. That's why fans are behind him. It's not just because he's Sting, because he's Sting at 50 years old, and he looks fucking great for 50 years old. Fair play to the guy. You look at Hulk Hogan, he can barely move. Sting is still bumping around to do all this stuff. So great stuff for him. So he wrestles pretty well for about 5 minutes. Rollins comes in, causes the DQ. Sting gets his first victory in WWE, if you want to call it that. Solomon Crow must have been pissed off because my recording dropped at this point. I didn't know what happened for a good 10 minutes. But when it came back, Sting and John Cena were tag teaming up. So there was that. I thought this was an alright match. Basically, they played up the Sting hot tag a lot, with Cena getting beaten up and building up Sting coming in. When he does, he eventually manages to land the Scorpion Death Drop on Rollins. In what I thought was kind of cool, he's actually got Cena up in the pedigree, and look, as he's just about to drop, Sting grabs him by the hair, drags him back, and does the Death Drop.
It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. Locks him in the Scorpion Deathlock, of which Sting could barely stand. I'm like I said, he's in great shape, but he can't do that lock that well. So,
yeah,
he's basically sitting on Rollins. But yeah, he gets the win. Rollins taps out furiously. Sting gets his second win in WWE. So he's now 2 for 1 in WWE. And that closes the show with Sting and Cena celebrating, and obviously going off to their respective title matches at the pay-per-view. So, our overall thoughts for this show was, I thought WWE put some chips on the table with this show. They told you big matches, title matches, awesome, awesome, awesome. And then sneakily, while you weren't looking, kind of took them back off the table as the show went on.
Yeah.
They were like, oh yeah, all these title
matches. Like as a weird blind bet sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, this is the season premiere, all these awesome stuff. And then suddenly, the tag team title match is like, yeah, but the real match that everyone wants to see is the Dudleys. So yeah, we're taking that one for the pay-per-view. Oh, but we've got Charlotte against Nikki Bella, but we'll just give that a fuck finish, and then we'll really have the match that people wanted
for the pay-per-view.
At the pay-per-view. It kind of went like that as it went along a little bit. So I thought the show was okay, but it's worth a watch, but there's some parts of this show which you will get angry, you'll get frustrated with. The Divas being one of them.
The thing is, I think for a go-home show, I'm not completely sold.
No, honestly. And you know what? Like I said, I can't even begin to explain what the hell happened with Stardust and Ascension and with Neville and the Dragons. They're having a pre-show match, but it was like, what just happened here? Like, WWE kind of shit the bed in a few instances here where it just didn't make any sense.
That's whatsoever. Mighty have fallen, isn't it? With the fact that Neville's doing the pre-show match.
Yeah, right. I was talking to some friends, man, when I was in England, and of course they're biased because with Neville being English, but they were trying to convince me that Neville's got a shot at being WWE champion, and I had to tell them and explain to them all the reasons why he ain't winning that title, and they looked very forlorn. Yeah.
Who was that with?
I'll tell you about it afterwards. Because there's no point telling them about it. My fans don't know who they are. But what do you think about this match overall? I'm going with my review of give it one watch. That's my review.
Yeah, worth a view.
Worth a view. Nothing more. Don't go back and watch it again. I wouldn't watch it. So yeah, go watch it once. Don't go back and watch it again. I wouldn't recommend it. But still. Now we give our Night of Champions predictions to finish off the show. We're going to give our predictions for the event, which happens tonight, as of you guys getting this podcast.
Yep.
The pre-show, talking of Neville and all of his stuff. Neville and the Lucha Dragons against the Cosmic Wasteland, which they're now called, on the pre-show. I think Stardust and Ascension will get this a win, and it'll be like a boost that they need, considering they're only just started associating themselves with one another. So, yeah, I think that they're going to get the win. What about you?
I don't care.
You have to give a prediction, surely.
I suppose.
Unless there's a team called I Don't Care that just shows up randomly and just
like, hey guys.
Yeah. Who think's getting this win? I can tell that it's not so much that you're thinking about it. It's like, do I care enough to give an answer? That's your thing.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We'll get some variety going. I'll go with Neville and the Dragons.
You go Neville Dragons, just for the sake of competitiveness.
Exactly.
We go to the actual show, the tag team title match, New Day against the Dudley Boys. What's your prediction?
Dudleys.
You go Dudleys to win the championships.
Well, it's going to be awkward.
Well, I think that New Day will retain. I think they're saving Dudley's winning their 10th title for TLC. So I think that it's going to be a fuck finish, or it'll be a finish that, it's going to be a heel finish that New Day get out of this with the belts, So, and it'll build up eventually the Dudley Boys getting their title match at TLC and winning it then. That's where I see it happening. But
yeah.
Are you still going with New Day? Oh, sorry, but Dudley Boys to win?
No, you've won me over.
Oh, all right, you're thinking about it. So you go New Day as well.
Yeah.
I very much think TLC is when they're winning that title. So.
To be fair, it makes sense to have them win at TLC.
It does. It makes too much sense. That's why I'm firmly...
Like the poetic justice of it all.
Yeah, it's kind of like Curtis Axel winning the IC title on Father's Day, right?
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev. I can see...
This one I really don't care.
Well, I think this one will be a bit interesting because I see Summer Rae costing Rusev the match. And Rusev, basically, Ziggler will walk off with Summer Rae.
Okay.
Out of this match. And then Rusev's screaming, going crazy. And then you've got Lana coming back going, what the fuck is going on? Then that's basically how this story carries on. I don't think WWE have got any intention of this stopping yet. So
all right,
that's the way it is. Who are you going with?
Let's get and get Ziggler over as a heel.
Yeah, I think that's the direction they're going. What are you going with?
I will agree with you.
You're going Ziggler as well.
Yeah,
I think Ziggler. Dean Ambrose, Reigns, and the Mystery Man against... I did the Chaz hands as I did that. I have no idea why.
You have to.
Woohoo! The Mystery Man! And they're going against the Wyatt family. Not that it matters much, considering the outcome of this match won't really play into what they're going in the future.
Yeah.
It'll happen regardless. But I expect a new guy coming in to score a pinfall victory over Harper. And it's so the new guy, the mystery guy, I think he'll pin Harper and get the victory.
Biggest confusion is, who is the Mystery Man?
I think general consensus is that it's... I think some people are saying it could be Cesaro.
Some people are saying it's Randy Orton. I really don't want it to be Randy Orton.
People are also saying Baron Corbin. If it's a main roster guy, I don't see him winning. Right? It'll probably be Braun Strowman beating him. But if it's a new guy, like a new guy coming from NXT, or a guy that hasn't been around for a while, he'll get the win, and it'll be against Harper. That's the way I see it going. So basically, what I'm saying is, if it's a main roster guy, Braun Strowman's beating them, and then it's the Wyatt family winning. If it's a new guy, then they will pin Harper. That's essentially what I'm going with. But
Okay.
are you going to force me to pick anyway, or?
No, I'm not going to force you to pick.
Right, what are you going with?
I will completely agree with that train of thought.
Cool.
I can't think of much else. I was just sort of like, nah.
Yeah. At least it'll be interesting to see who it is. The thing is, if they bring it out and it's someone like Cesaro, as much as I like Cesaro, it's a bit random, right? And he's just kind of come out of nowhere, so it's like... and people won't be as excited.
It'd be like a straight out of left field sort of thing.
Yeah. It's because you had a new guy for the Wyatt family. Technically, you should have a new guy going against the new guy, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. Nikki Bella versus Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Yeah, and now Nikki's beaten that record. I think WWE think the coast is clear. Give Charlotte the championship. And if Nikki Bella leaves the company on bad terms, then they can make Charlotte beat it by a week, essentially, because they are spiteful. But yeah, Charlotte to win the belt, and I think if you have Nikki beat her, I think that's even more counterproductive. I really do. I think you're going to get a lot more negativity to the Divas division if you have Nikki retain it again. So
yeah,
and they're running with this thing of, even if she gets DQ'd, she loses. They may even play the thing. The only way that Nikki could retain this as a heel is if maybe Paige or Becky Lynch cost Charlotte her chance. But even then, people are going to be like, people just look at it so negative. They associate Nikki Bella with negativity in this division. They need a breath of fresh air. So Charlotte is champion. Would do that. Ryback versus Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship. What's your pick?
Owens.
Yeah, I think Owens too. I think Owens to win the championship. No offense to Ryback, but Owens would be a much better champion. And it's not bad with Ryback. I think that he's just booked that well as champion. Majority of his wins have come by other people doing the work for him, or him just being lucky.
Yeah.
So that's essentially it. But by the way, I do think this match has a possibility to be a show stealer. Possibility.
Thanks to Owens.
Thanks to Owens more than Ryback, yeah. And I do like Ryback, but Owens, come on guys, once in a generation heel, as I say. He is talented. He is so special.
Yeah.
Rollins versus John Cena.
Cena.
Yeah, I think Cena's going to win back his title. I think it will... Basically, the way I see this going, because I think this plays into the finish of both of the title matches, I think this match will be the opener of the show. And I think
this one will be the open.
Yeah, I think Cena Rollins will open the show. I think that Cena will win the championship, and throughout the show you're going to have all these little segments of Rollins basically freaking out. He's like, I've lost the US title. I can't lose my world champ. I cannot lose my world championship.
Yeah.
And this leads to him doing something to basically disqualify himself in the main event, or get someone to take out Sting, or something along these lines. I think they'll go for a fuck finish, where Rollins, for some reason, walks away with that with the world title, because he's just freaked out that he lost his US, and he can't fathom losing both titles in a night.
Yeah.
So, Sting. I think Sting will get the win via DQ, and Rollins walks away clutching his title as if it's the last thing that's ever meant anything to him, and he's starting to lose it a little bit. And that's how I see it going down. How do you think it's going down?
Sort of crazy whisperings.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. I think that's the way they do it, and that's the way it makes most sense. If you're going to have a DQ finish at the end of the show, you need to play it that Rollins is literally like he's getting so paranoid that he's lost one match, he's beaten up, he's bruised, John Cena's taken him to town and he's destroyed him, and all he's got is like 2 hours to recover, which isn't enough, and he's got Sting, the mighty Sting, to go against, and he's just panicking. And
I don't see Sheamus getting involved.
No, I don't think Sheamus will cash in here. If Sting wins, then I can see Sheamus cashing in. But I don't think Sting is winning. I don't think he's walking out with the title.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think he will leave it as a one-time champion, right? So, yeah, I just think Rollins gets DQ'd, or maybe Sheamus causes the DQ inadvertently. Maybe that's something that happens. But who knows? I just think that's the way you do it. You have John Cena, win back his title. Rollins starts going mental, starts going crazy, and then that's he scratches and claws and finds some way out of getting out of that building with the championship. Yeah. And everyone can boo him, and I don't want to see another fuck finish, but that's how I see it going. So, are you going with the same thing?
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, Rollins walks out with the WWE championship, but I think he loses both matches. That's what I think. So, Alright, guys, is there anything else you want to cover for this week, Matt?
No, I've got nothing else to say.
No, we've got to wrap up. That's what our job is now.
That's it.
We're heavily enjoying this show. This is episode 93. 100 is getting ever closer. If you do want to follow us on Twitter, Matt, what is the Twitter handle?
Yeah, @talkwrestlingpod.
Damn right it is. Of course it is. And of course, if you want to leave us any comments and questions, you can do so on that Twitter handle or in the comment section below. You can... I didn't even give the link to where you can send your intros for the t-shirt competition. That is letstalkwrestlingpodcast @gmail.com. And you can send it. You can send it in whatever format you can. You can even link a YouTube video or like an audio file. No problem to me. You just need to send it to that email address, and you'll be part and get your chance at winning some exclusive Let's Talk Wrestling merchandise. It's all very, very exciting. Apart from that, I think I'm all linked up or plugged as it is. And I will
Plugged up, yeah.
All plugged up with that methamphetamine we were talking about earlier on. And we hope you guys have a great week. Hope you guys did enjoy this show. Of course, if you want to subscribe and be one of our 400 subscribers when we get there very, very soon. Literally, we're 4 away, I think, as of this recording. Could you be number 400? There's going to be people there now waiting for other people to subscribe so they can be number 400. That's what I'm doing. If you do, then I will... get all excited, and Matt will post up on Twitter and all that stuff. So
That's it.
hope you guys have a great week, and hope you enjoyed the show. Apart from that, we'll catch you again for we'll be doing a pay-per-view review next week.
Exactly.
So for Night of Champions, and then we'll have you again for the episode 94. Hope you guys have stay in great health. Hope you guys stay great. Catch you all next week.
We'll catch you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.